Hello, Zambia, and welcome to another edition of the Manifesto Show. This is where we get to talk about governance issues. This is also the platform where we get to introduce to you the president that are actually going to be contesting in the coming election, and just to get an understanding of what they have in plan in terms of development for this great country that we have, which is Zambia. And today on the program, I'm joined by President for Golden Party of Zambia, Mr. Jackson Silavwe, who is here with me. Good to have you on the program.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes. Let's just get down to business.
Yes.
The nation is in dire need of leaders, I might say.
Yes.
So maybe just to get a quick understanding so that people can get familiar with you.
Yes.
In particular, who is Mr. Jackson Silavwe?
Jackson Silavwe, a Zambian to start with. Jackson Silavwe, I was born in Mufrila, to be specific, Kamchanga, on the Copper Belt. I did my primary school at Twashuka. Later on proceeded to Mufrila Secondary School. From Mufrila Secondary School, one of the students in my year then who did quite well proceeded to David Kaunda. From David Kaunda, of course, I delayed a little bit. I proceeded to Zambia Open University, where I did my bachelor's in development studies. I'm a holder of a bachelor's degree in development studies, and other certificates that I did along the way. Who is Jackson Silavwe? Jackson Silavwe is a person, first is a married person. I'm married to a wonderful lady called Katongo Mwilwa Silavwe. We have 3 kids, Jackson being the firstborn. Decided to name myself.
Wonderful.
Yes. Then we have got second one, Chazipa Grace. Chazipa, in my dialect, it simply means we are rejoicing or wonderful or beautiful. And then we've got the last one, and I want to make it very clear, the last one, because my wife and I, we discussed that we are done. And that is Tyler. Tyler, in my dialect, means faith. We had faith for him. So that's why we named him Faith. Who is Jackson Silavwe? By profession, I'm a business development manager. I'm into business consultancy, to be specific, just mining consultancy, because I've got a career leaning more towards mining. In fact, even before coming into politics, in 2015, to be specific, August, when I came into full-time politics, my last tour of duty was business development manager based at KCM. I was working for an Indian mining firm that is still actually up to now mining at KCM. Quite exciting time for me. It was a very good job, very young, just got married. It was a very good tour of duty for me. Who is Jackson Silavwe? Jackson Silavwe is also a person who loves God. I got saved in 1997. Got baptized in 1998. Then I used to go to a church called CMML. For those of the young ones especially may not know what CMML is. It simply means Christians Missionaries in Many Lands. The name has been changed now. It's called Christian Brethren. That's where I grew up. That's a church where I grew up in. I did my Sunday school there. Received the Lord Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior there. Got baptized there. Then, of course, as I drifted to Lusaka, like I told you, came to DK, I sort of started getting interested in the Pentecostal, the charismatics. So that's how come I found myself first at Porter's House and later on transitioned to Bread of Life Church. So I'm a member of Bread of Life Church. So I'm a believer, to put it shortly. Who is Jackson Silavwe? Jackson Silavwe is a mentor. Apart from just doing politics, I enjoy mentoring because I believe that there are things that I went through life that I shouldn't have gone through if I had a mentor. So I apply myself, especially around the circles of the church, to the young people, trying to guide them. If you go to my Facebook page, you get to see different sessions, me talking to young people, trying to guide them and to show them the right way, per se, if you can say that, in their life, so they can be able to avoid some things. There's always a saying, there's a saying in mentorship that what took your mentor 15 years to learn, you can learn it in 15 minutes. What took your mentor 20 years to learn, it can take you just 20 minutes. if you apply those things that you are receiving from your mentor. So I love mentoring a lot. And then apart from that, I'm a politician.
Great.
Yes.
Speaking about mentorship.
Exactly.
Now, as we stand, there's an issue now that you're in politics, actively in politics.
Exactly.
And you are leading a party.
Yes, yes.
By the way, I love asking this in the beginning.
Yes.
You are contested in the coming election.
The assumption is yes.
Okay, wonderful.
The assumption is yes, because a general election is coming up and we are putting things in order as a political party to make sure that we don't just escort people to the ballot, but that we are serious contenders at the ballot, because we want to ensure that we provide an alternative, a different way of doing politics. Perhaps I'll come to that, why I joined politics in 2015. It wasn't actually a very popular decision, especially amongst my family members. And to say that I'm the firstborn of 7, and you understand that responsibility, and also knowing the fact that my father is gone, and somehow I become a de facto head of the family. So imagine you've got this good job, and then you make a decision and say, hey, family, I'm going into politics. And everyone was like, what is happening now? It wasn't a popular decision, but I had to make it because I still feel that I've only been called in politics for a certain season. So do not be surprised if tomorrow you will not see Jackson in politics, because I believe that the burden that I carry for Zambia is only for a season and is not wamuyayaya, like it is in politics. Yeah. So in other words, I'm a politician who is in politics, but looking for an exit. If I can put it that way.
Yeah.
Yes.
You have an experience in the mining sector.
Yes,
and I'm going to come back to this aspect as we progress in this conversation.
Yes, exactly.
But I just want to get an overview. You are leading a party, Golden Party of Zambia.
Yes.
And you're the president. Just tell us a bit about the core values of the party as it stands.
All right. Maybe before I come to the core values, what motivated us to form a political party? Because in Zambia, it is a notorious fact that we've got a lot of political parties. And the question that comes to mind, why didn't you join another political party? I think the uniqueness of GPZ is in the vision that we have for the country. It is in its formation. How did we start it? In 2014, I've only belonged to two political parties in my life. During my university days, or in my formation stages, we were obviously mesmerized by the MMD then. And I remember being a young boy in Mpika then. We moved from Mufrila to Mpika in the early stages of my life. And there was talk of, this short guy who is going to unseat the mighty KK. So we were very interested. And it may interest you that the time we were in Mufrila, Guy Scott was actually the member of parliament. He came in as member of parliament for MMD, for Mpika. So I remember being young and we were chasing him and, give us sweets and all that. But that aside, we were mesmerized by the MMD. And then we made a transition to the Patriotic Front. Now, fast forward in 2014, like I said, I've only belonged to two political parties. In 2010, I made a conscious decision to participate in politics. But then, of course, that time I was still working. So I just decided to be a member of a political party. And I scanned the market, the political market, if you can put it that way. Which political party can I be able to join? And I analyzed different political parties, and especially the leaders that were leading those political parties. And somehow I got very attracted to General Mianda. I had heard stories about him, how he would return impressed. I heard stories about him, how disciplined he was. I'd heard stories about him, how he was different in the government, in the MMD government, when he served as Minister of Education and also Vice President of the Republic of Zambia. So I'm attracted to discipline. I'm attracted to people who are transparent. I'm attracted to people who are accountable, especially those individuals that have got a certain level of respect towards the resources for the people of Zambia. So I wrote a letter to him, and graciously enough, he requested, before responding to the letter, he requested I wanted to meet you. So there was a gentleman who was making the meeting happen, and I was at his office. It was one of those setups where the office is just one room. So I arrived there in time, waiting for him, and immediately walked in. I stood up as a mark of respect, and they introduced me. The gentleman introduced me. The gentleman is Lango, one of the recipients for our national awards. He was awarded, I think, last year or the other year. Is a person living with a disability. And I stood up, and he introduced me, and we shook hands. And I must say this, I don't know if the general will be watching. And it was love at first sight. I just loved the man. I had heard about the man. I'd watched the man on TV. Now as I was meeting this man, to me, he's a legend. And we began to talk. I think we talked for almost 2 hours, which seemed to be very short. And at the end of our meeting, he said, where are you going from here? I said, I'm going home. That time home was in Handsworth. And he says, can I take you? And I was humbled. First of all, I was mesmerized by the humility of this man. Not only is he disciplined, not only does he respect the resources that are placed in his care, but he's also humble. And after, of course, being in Heritage in 2011, we moved around. Of course, Heritage did not have funding. It was a difficult time for us to run a campaign because I was one of the close associates to the president.
Okay, just on that note,
yes,
I'm sure that you have had a very rich life in terms of how you even got motivated to go into politics. Now, when we come back, we get to dip down into the discussion and understand what plans the GBZ has for the Zambian people when it comes to development. We'll be right back. Welcome back. If you have just tuned into the Manifesto show, my name is Intanji Duncan Simonze, and I'm joined by the GPZ president, Mr. Jackson Silavwe, and we're having a conversation. And before we went for a break, of course, he was sharing his story and his background, of which, if you missed out, please make sure that you go back and re-scroll through and get to understand and know Mr. Jackson Silavwe, because you know where we're heading. We're heading towards the general election. So it's good that it's very important that you know the candidates that are going to be contesting. So now, moving forward, there's an issue now. The Zambian people want to know what you have for them to develop the country.
Yes.
Keeping up with the prevailing condition, what is happening in the country? Issues of the kwacha depreciating almost on a daily basis, issues of high cost of living, unemployment. Let's just understand what GBZ has to offer in terms of bringing about, making sure that the youth that are majority that are unemployed have got jobs. What plans do you have?
The uniqueness of GPZ is in the vision that we have for the country. And it sort of explains our anchor in our participation in politics. The vision of GPZ is very clear. It is a free, democratic, prosperous, and developed Zambia. That's the uniqueness of this party. We are the only party, apart from another party that came after us, that have got a vision to ensure that we make Zambia a developed country. And the basis for doing that is the fact that Zambia has got the wealth, the resources, be it the mineral resource or the natural resources, or indeed the human resource, that we can do it. Apart from that, we are saying that this vision is going to be realized in three components. The first strand of that vision, a free, democratic, prosperous, and developed Zambia as our vision, is that we are very strong on economics. And under our economic vision, there's what you call 3 Ps of the economic vision. Number one is that we want to make Zambia, under the economic vision, we want to make Zambia a producer country. We want to be that country that moves from being a consumer-based economy to an economy that produces. The suit that I'm putting on right now, this blue suit, one of my favorite suits, was imported in the country. The tie, I must believe, is also imported. If I look at my shoes, they're also imported. So literally, we have an economy that literally does not support itself. And as a party, we want to move this country from being a consumer-based to a producer-based. That is the first P, producer country. We want to make sure that in this economy, in Southern Province, we are growing cotton, that we can turn that cotton into fabric. We want to make sure when we talk about being a producer country, that we should make sure that this country is the most industrialized country in the sub-region of Africa, sub-Saharan Africa. We want to make sure that as we talk about producer country, that we employ the 5.5 million people that are unemployed of workable age to make sure that they are producing for their country. The second P that we have under the economic vision, which is the anchor of the Golden Party of Zambia, is that we must make this country a provider country. Under the provider country, what we're saying? We are saying that the Golden Party in government, we are going to construct 1 million houses at 20% less market value for first-time home owners that are below the age of 40. Because accommodation in our country is a big problem. Why? So that you can be able to have the comfort to do other things.
Now, many may argue to say that where are the resources going to come from to channel to these ambitious dreams that have been mentioned at this
Everything that we need to support our economy is already here in the country. Zambia is one of the richest countries in terms of natural resources. The problem is that we do not utilize the resources that we have to invest in the people. And that is why and I'm glad that we're talking about the economy. We're talking about the manifesto, because the screaming headline of our manifesto, if you've read it, is investing the nation's wealth in our people. What we have not done as a country is to make sure that we invest what we have, the resources that we have in our people, so that our people can stop being mere spectators in the economy and become participants. And I want to submit and contend once again that the Zambian people are not players in their own economy. If you look, for example, to the construction sector, a sector that is gobbling huge sums of money that we have borrowed from the international market, those resources are being gotten by the foreign contractors and being taken to the countries of origin. You cannot develop a country like that. A country needs to have a base supported by its own people. Whether you like it or not, whether you like him or not, Trump won the first term of his presidency because he spoke the language that resonates with the people of America. America first. What did it mean? It meant that before we place anyone else's agenda, your agenda will be the first one. And this is a tragedy of most African countries. I'm talking as a Pan-Africanist now. And this is a tragedy of African countries, is that we have placed everyone else other than our people at the core of developing, at the core of our economies, at the core of investing resources in our people. And that is a different approach that we want to take as a center-left party. And that is our ideology is very clear. We are a center-left party. Why? Because we want to mix certain programs with private government and private sector coming together so that we look at the welfare of our people holistically. We are that party that says you cannot leave everything into the hands of the business people because they will exploit a person.
Speaking about the people.
Now, I did not mention the other P under the economic. The other P, which is the productive.
Which is the productive, right?
Yes. We want to have a new economic order in our country that is based on a new mindset, a mindset of productivity. If we want toothpicks, we produce them. If we want a university, we build it with our own engineers, with our own resources. If whatever we want, we must make sure that we produce it.
Now, productivity.
And that is what we want.
The last P,
party, yes.
The last P, which I feel is very critical, especially to boosting the economy, of course. Now,
not only are we talking about boosting the economy, we want a new economic order.
Okay.
We want to change the economic order. I want you to use specific terminologies because I'm a development scientist, so I know. So we want a new economic order based on a new mindset to transform the nation. The economy that we have right now is a poverty trap from the time that we gained independence. Firstly, Zambia's economy is foreign dominated. We look to the outside for solutions to our economic solutions. You're well aware that right now the government has just announced that they're in talks with the IMF.
Yes.
We are looking to where? The outside. And I want to contend, as President of the Republic of Zambia, the first people I will be able to look to are the Zambian people, because them alone have the solutions. Them alone have the stamina. Them alone holds the key to open the economic prosperity.
Now, when you talk about productivity, these are avenues which require a lot of investments.
Yes.
And you did make mention to say that the country is rich with resources.
Yes.
We can channel all that resources to generate other avenues which can add value, not only to the economy, but also to the people themselves. But again, looking at the realistic part of it, when it comes to empowerment, and I think this is a critical point because we have seen people when it comes to empowerment. I think there are many that are left. Those people who generally deserve to be empowered are left because of not knowing the system and what to do about it. Maybe just to get a connotation from the productive part, how are you going to make it more complicated for people who are in Chivoria, for example, to be able to walk into offices offering loans, for example, and easily get it without the complication that is involved?
Firstly, empowerment is a tool of dependency as it is being done right now. I condemn it. I do not subscribe to it. I do not support it because it is a tool for someone to depend on the one who is giving. In our manifesto, we are very clear of what we want to do. Firstly, if this year, the people of Zambia gave us the mandate to lead them by forming government, from the first year of our office to the 14th year of being in office, as a party, we plan to create 1 million jobs, 1 million businesses, 1 million businesses. And how are we going to do that? It goes back to what I told you about, investing the nation's wealth in our people. In other words, the redistribution of our resources to the Zambian people, where we place the Zambian at the core of our development agenda. And how do we hope to achieve that? How do we hope to create 1 million businesses in 7 to 14 years? Very simple. We are going to start up we are going to set up a venture capital fund, a VCF. In excess, at the moment, of course, we've got a policy convention that reviews these things. But what we are saying that in 7 to 14, or from our first year in office, we are going to be intentional about creating 1 million businesses, and we'll have a count accessible to every Zambian, how many new businesses we are starting, by creating a venture capital fund of in excess of $2 billion across all sectors of the economy. Not empowerment. That is far from empowerment. And empowerment is giving someone, you said 10,000 kwacha and say, go run a grocery. For us, we are talking about high quality startups in agriculture, where you submit to us a proposal with the minimum capital, for example, 100,000 US dollars. This is what I want to do in agriculture. Then we'll tell you are speaking our language.
Before we go on
that break, 2 billion, can you give them 100? Let me land. It's important that the people, because this is the call of our message. Let me land. We say you can access that. You say you want to go into trading. What is your minimum capital? We're going to have a benchmark, 50,000 US dollars. Then we say, okay, we're going to give you that. High quality startups, something that can turn around and make a dent on poverty. The empowerment that we're experiencing right now, we will never achieve meaningful results in a light year, because what we are giving to our people is peanuts. And I'm glad you are talking to somebody that has worked, for example, at KCM, stationed at KCM. We were a contractor mining a Changa site. But if I tell you the figures that we are making for that contractor, which is not Zambian, and sending back the money from where they came from, you'll be surprised. I consider it even an insult that in an economy where you have one of the highest unemployment levels, we can tell her this empowerment and people following you and people singing praises for you. So for us, we have got something different. And I'm talking about across sectors of the economy: tourism, manufacturing, agriculture, creative industries. We're talking about technology, all these sectors, including mining itself. That's what we want to do. Now, if you look in our manifesto and you peep in there, one of the economic outcomes from the creation of 1 million jobs and 1 million businesses, how many jobs are we espousing? We're espousing at least a minimum of 5 million jobs. That is how Golden Party of Zambia is going to take care of the employment story in this country once and for all. And I dare to challenge any political party. We are the only political party that has got a solid plan to end unemployment. Without jokes.
When we come back, we get to talk about the health sector as well as tourism and the mining sector. And I'm going to stick to the mining sector because he has had an experience,
exactly,
a strong experience in the mining sector. So probably we can do much to discuss about that aspect. Yes. So make sure you follow us on Facebook as well as Instagram. That is at Live TV, or you can tune into Top Star Channel 112. We'll be right back. Welcome back, and if you have just joined us, I'm still having the president of GPZ with me here in the studio, and we have talked about number of pertinent issues that needs to be addressed, and GPZ president has been offering alternatives and solutions to what is going on. But just moving forward, Zambia became the first country to default its Eurobond. About 40, is it 42.5 million?
Yes.
And just of late, that was 2020. Now, just of late, we had about 52.
January, yes.
Just 56.1 million.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean to you as an opposition government?
What that means in real terms, or what is happening on the ground, is that more hardships for our people. Dr. Dabisa Moyo, professor now in our book, talking about the challenges that developing countries face in our book, Dead End. And also she touches also that in The Winner Takes It All. She submits and says one of the impediments to growth is debt. So whatever way we look at it, we're in a mess as a country. Now, what is the solution that we propose to the debt situation in our country? Number one, the government of the Republic of Zambia must place a moratorium on debt, on borrowing, for 10 years. Don't borrow for 10 years. And these are very hard decisions and can only be taken by hard men and women.
Yeah, because they will say a country cannot live without borrowing.
No, that is
a syndrome or something that we can do away with as Zambia?
I've just said that decision can only be made by hard men and women. Softer men and women say that. But you need to make a conscious decision that will not borrow for the next 10 years. And what that entails is that you're not seated. What that means is for you now to employ your faculties to ensure that what is the alternative. And I want to submit that the solutions to our economic problems, even including the debt, they're not outside. It is within our country here. So that is the first step. Stop borrowing. Because even when you get the amounts that we have borrowed, the money that we've borrowed, and ask that what has it been used for, it is very scanty. We've witnessed overpricing of contracts and infrastructure, which we need to move away from. So we need, number one, to have a deliberate plan that for the next 10 years we will not borrow. Then we look to grow our own local economy. No matter how much we borrow, even if today somebody, Bill Gates, for example, gave us $100 billion US, we'll still blow it because Zambia's economy does not have the necessary infrastructure, both micro and macro, to support it. It's foreign-based. So even if we get 100 billion from Bill Gates, it will just evaporate. Stop borrowing and look to the Zambian people to grow the local economy so that it can support us and then begin to pay our debts. From the resources that we have, properly utilized in this country, we can pay all our debts. For example, we can start by not buying the fire tenders at 1 million each, 42 of them. We can avoid to do certain things, like starting a project, the road project at 1.2 billion United States dollars, when that same project can be done in 600 million US dollars.
Speaking about road, I'm sorry to cut you. Speaking
Financial
about road,
discipline.
infrastructure development,
Yes.
Infrastructure development has been a priority for this government, which is in play right now. But the question would be, Zambian people are saying we won't eat roads or buildings.
Yes.
We also need to find means so that we can eat. You can't just channel all the chunk of money to infrastructure development. You as GPZ government, what are you saying about that? Will you prioritize infrastructure development as well, or will you also channel other revenues so that you can help the Zambian people?
I don't agree at the cost. I don't agree with the cost of the infrastructure development. It has come at a cost of an arm and a leg. If I were a president, I would not have a project such astronomical costs that we have right now. The prices are inflated for the projects that government is doing, which is not normal. That's number one. Number three things that I would do, that I would focus on. But of course, now we will not focus on infrastructure development because some of it has been done now. We will do maybe critical ones such as in the health sector, making sure that we have got access to health for all. We would focus on that. And not only just health, access, but quality health for all. Not having buildings and yet you have got expired drugs. No. Not having a health post in the rural sector and yet they do not even have a single panel.
Do you approve of the health insurance scheme, by the way?
I do approve of it, but it's being mismanaged. Let me tell you this. When you have a situation, sir, where you are administering, you are looking after the resources of the country in a prudent manner, the people will be glad to contribute, to pay taxes. The reason why people complain right now is because even after when they pay taxes, there is nothing to show for them to say, I paid the tax. What is the purpose of having a national insurance scheme? Health scheme. When you go to UTH, you think the same one. Then they tell you, go and buy your own medicine, sir. Because this is what is happening right now in our country. You are contributing towards the health insurance scheme. You are contributing to all these different ones. And when you go to UTH tells you we do not have insulin. Go find it on the market. We do not have Fancida. We do not have this and that.
Of recent,
go and look for it.
Of recent, we have seen drugs that have expired, that have been installed, but not in hospitals.
Which is a scandal. And I want to make it very clear that the people that were tasked, both the contractor, the supplier, and the people in the ministry, as a party we've called for their prosecution. That is negligence. And the people that are in the forefront who did that, they have demonstrated that they are unpatriotic and indeed the enemies of the Zambian people. They must be prosecuted. There's no way, as a procurement officer, you can allow the drugs to come in your institution when you know that in 2 weeks they'll be expired.
Now,
That
I
is
just
a
want
clear
to
case
look
of
at
a
a health
cartel.
sector in your government.
Yes.
How it will look like.
Yes.
Especially when you form a government, of course.
Yes.
Looking at what has been happening now, complaints from the general public to say that we're losing confidence in our health service, we cannot trust. And now, even Zambia is expected to receive a bunch for COVID-19 vaccine. And people now, because of what has been happening, there's a lot of controversy and rumors and speculation on whether they should take the vaccine or not, some because of what is happening. How would your health sector look like in your government?
Thank you very much. First of all, we improve what is currently there to make sure that the people have the best services. Now, if you look at our manifesto, which I know that you've looked at the end of the manifesto, we have zeroed in 10 zones that we have identified, 10 triangles that we have identified as new development zones for our country as we bring about the economic order. One of those zones, one of the things that we'll do is a building of an agricultural city, which will be the hub of production and agro-processing for our country, to make sure that whatever we produce, we also process. Because when you process and do value addition, you are adding jobs to your economy. One of the cities will have a city for manufacturing. We'll have a city for different ones. One of the cities that we want to build under those triangles is the medical city, where we'll have specialized hospitals, we'll have specialized clinics, where people from all over Southern Africa, and Africa indeed, can come and be able to be healed. That's one of the key areas that we want to do as a country.
And you want to set Zambia as an example to the rest of African countries as
exactly,
one of
that becoming a developed country is achievable with the right mindset at the leadership helm. I can tell you this, Zambia and Africa do not have a resource problem. We have a leadership problem. And the Zambian people must be able to see through us. There are many people who are coming and giving this. We have seen videos of people giving money, hard cash. This is where it has gotten in our country.
And that's why I wanted to ask you that. Don't you think it's difficult to, because I believe great nations are built because of their morals and values that they put in play. But in a situation like when you understand your population, high rate of poverty lines and whatnot. So when you are given 100 kwacha, people want to vote for those people, give them 100 kwacha. But again, if you look at the bigger picture, you're not only thinking about yourself and that 100 kwacha. How do we begin to move from where we think to where we need to be thinking?
The crisis of Zambia is that the well-meaning people have retreated and allowed cadres to come and take over leadership of the country. And allow people who do not know what democracy entails to come and take over the leadership of the country. There is glorification of individuals who do not have an understanding of what democracy is. And let me tell you this, no matter how long a facade, something untrue, a lie would stick, eventually one day, the truth will spring up. So right now, the culture that we are in is that of, handouts and all that. But one day, there'll come a Jackson Silavwe who will tell the people this is not the right way to do things. And the thing about truth is that when you speak it, it resonates with the people. It doesn't matter how many have gone wayward, but when you speak the truth, it resonates with the people. We need to cool down and get back to the basics of our democracy. Giving money to people creates dependency syndrome. Flashing to my projects here and donations just because you want to get elected. That is not democracy.
Their venture fund.
We are destroying
their venture
democracy.
Fund.
Yes.
How accountable and transparent will that be in your government? Because we have seen high levels of corruption. Oh, we might not point the person to say that they did because of evidence and what, but we get to see these things. Because, for example, you use the FAT tenders that were bought at 1 million.
Yes.
People audited them, said it can't cost that much. But if you look at the venture fund that you are proposing, how transparent and accountable will that venture fund be?
It will be transparent because obviously it will be a government plus the private sector arrangement. And firstly, in my government, there will be no talk of corruption. You cannot even be mentioned that you are being investigated. That is how serious. Because corruption is a cancer. What you are witnessing at Ministry of Health currently, it is not that somebody deliberately bought near expired drugs. It's because somebody intentionally benefited from that deal. That's what corruption does. And if we are going to lift Zambia to a platform where Zambia becomes a developed country in Africa, I can tell you this: corruption should not be part of it. In fact, we should even go beyond zero tolerating of corruption to -1.
I know we can.
That is what we want as a party.
I know
and
we can
stand strong.
We can go on
that
because there's just a lot of info here that needed to be discussed. But time can never be friendly when you're talking about things that really matter here.
Yes.
But definitely, is it available? How available is the manifesto people want to go through?
Oh, it's very much available. In fact, we have been doing a lot of distribution. My Deputy Secretary General is tasked with that responsibility. So if you want a manifesto, you can just give us a call. Our lines are on Facebook, on our party page, Golden Party Zambia, or to my page. Just request for it, and then we'll be able to send it to you. Because we want to have informed voters, not just voting because of the song.
I said that because there are many issues that we have not touched, but exactly. We are winding up. As we are winding up,
we haven't even talked about the other segment of our vision, democracy, as well as social vision.
Like I mentioned, there's just so much and great content here. But just your last, maybe you can use this time as you make your last remarks on this particular program.
The people of Zambia have got an opportunity again to go to the polls and elect their leaders. My exhortation to them is that as they get to that polling booth, they need to reflect, what kind of a Zambia do I want? Do I want a Zambia where I receive handouts? Do I want a Zambia where my leaders behave as if they are bosses and not partners in development? Do I want a Zambia where my child will be able to have access to a house? A Zambia where my child will be the next big business person because they will have a business for them to say that I'm a Zambian? What kind of a Zambia do you want? And when you answer those questions, scan through the candidates that will be presenting themselves before you as the next leaders of our society. And I believe that you find us to be the right people to drive the agenda of a 21st century Zambian to the next level. And if you are that person who does not believe in handouts, who believe in working for yourself, in making Zambia a producer, productive, and provider country, then vote for GPZ.
Well, Zambia, you heard it yourself. Jackson Silavwe, president of GPZ. Thank you very much for coming through.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, until next time, it has been me, Danji Duncan Simonza. We're going to have more people coming through, and as we're going to be having conversation on different angles, but make sure that you get the right information so you can make an informed decision. It's very important. One Zambia, one nation. Until next time, it's bye-bye.